You've said that there are 4 levels of financial wealth: poor, not poor, rich, and mega rich. While not poor is better than being poor, mega rich is actually worse than being rich. Why is being ultra wealthy worse than being wealthy?
This might be my most controversial take on money. Basically, what I'm saying is that being mega rich is wildly overrated. And yet, probably all of the listeners are going to say, like, that's my goal, right? You're like trying to go make $100 million. Like, I want to go be mega rich. I spent time as I was researching over the last 3 years with thousands of people all across the financial spectrum, people like just scraping by on through some of the world's foremost mega billionaires. And my basic premise here is that there are 4 levels to this game. There is poor. You're scraping by. You're poor.
Walk us through actual numbers. If someone's listening right now, how much money do you have to have?
It depends where you live, but let's just say like you're not able to fund basic needs. Like I'm talking
like broke.
You're struggling like paycheck to paycheck, really struggling to pay for food, shelter, basic needs, security. Like if you're talking Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're at the bottom of that. You're struggling to get by. Not poor is once you've broken out of that. Like you can pay for all of those basic things, and you're starting to have small levels of basic pleasures. Like maybe you can go on a vacation a year. You sort of like can start to afford some basic experiences. You can go out to eat with your family. And there's a huge leap in your well-being from being poor to being not poor. Like that is an enormous leap forward for anyone. It doesn't matter, what your standard was before. It's an enormous leap. Being rich is sort of the next leap from being not poor. And that is like all of your sort of simple pleasures in life are affordable. You've taken care of all of the money problems. Like you no longer have random money stresses. If you're talking like, New York City, that's probably like $10 million of liquid net worth is like the top end of being rich. Anything from like $1 million through $10 million of net worth in probably a major city is like you're rich. You can afford to live where you want. You can go on, you can travel whenever you want. You can afford to eat out. You're not worried about all of that. The problem is people get to that level. They've solved all of their money problems, and yet they keep striving for this bigger number to try to go be mega rich. And my whole point here is that once you are mega rich, there's all sorts of money created problems that pop up. Meaning like things that only happen when you have an enormous amount of money. So like your identity starts to have issues because you're all super tied up in this like whole world of money. You have issues with children, and raising well-adjusted kids becomes an enormous problem when you have a ton of money. So suddenly you've already solved all of your problems. You're not solving anything new at the mega rich level, but you're creating a whole bunch of problems for yourself.
But it sounds like that's a problem with the character of the type of individual that usually makes it up to that level of wealth, as opposed to achieving that level of wealth and then that amount of money kind of being a cancer or plague to your like character.
It depends how public you are about it too. If you walk down the street and no one has any clue, you're less of a target.
Less of a target. I think what you're assuming though, Jack, is that like we all have perfect agency and control over our own behaviors and characters. And the reality is so much of who we are and how we approach life and our expectations are driven by our comparison set and like our environment. So in other words, if I say I want to live a simple life, I'm like, I'm really happy with the simple things. Like I could make a lot of money, but I'm not going to live a fancy life. And I want to do that in Omaha, Nebraska. That actually could be reasonably easy for me to do. But if I want to do that same thing living in New York City, it's going to be very uncomfortable and very difficult because my comparison set is all these fancy, really rich people around me who measure their, self-worth on the basis of where they vacation and how much their kids' private school tuition is. If that's my comparison set, suddenly like it's mimetic, right? Humans are pretty mimetic in the way that we approach life. And so I think it is a trap that the vast majority of people fall into, that you become and you chase this idea of being mega rich, not realizing that it's actually going to create a whole bunch of problems. If it's a byproduct of just taking action, like, you're chasing your purpose, trying to go and build something, I get it. But when you're chasing it as the end, it leads to a whole bunch of issues.
So how do you escape the trap then?
I think the biggest way you escape it is that it can't be about money along that journey. Like if you are going to become mega rich, it should be a byproduct of the fact that you are trying to go and build something that you really care about, not because you are just trying to be mega rich because you think it's going to make you happier.
So you as an investment banker, I feel like that's kind of, I mean, you don't do that because you're super passionate, generally speaking, about like buying up small businesses and this and that. You do it because you want to become rich.
Mega rich.
Mega rich. So how does that like cognitive dissonance apply in your life if you wanted that, but now you're saying this?
Well, I think there's a lot of really miserable investment bankers who've made a whole lot of money and get to the top and are like, oh, I actually, I would call it a Pyrrhic victory. It's like a victory that might as well be a defeat. Like you win the battle, you make a whole bunch of money, you think this is going to be the thing that makes you super happy and content and fulfilled, and then you wake up one day and you have 4 divorces and 5 kids that won't talk to you. You're like, oh shit, I won the game, but I lost the much bigger picture war of trying to build this life. It's the reason why I think thinking about these things before you go and do it is the most important thing, because then you can try to avoid these pitfalls, right? Like you can make sure that your kids understand the value of hard work. They're not given all these things. They're not insulated from failure at every step along the way. There's definitely actions you can take, but I would say it's a trap that the majority of people fall into on that journey. It's pretty rare that you come into contact with a mega rich person who is not suffering in some way, shape, or form from the pitfalls of that money.
So tell me about these billionaires that do also have this fulfillment and peace of mind. What makes them different than most billionaires that are a slave to working hard and making a lot of money?
I think Richard Branson is probably the best example of a billionaire who has sort of done it right in finding balance in his life. I just co-hosted a retreat with him actually he has this private island, Necker Island, right? It's like this crazy island in the British Virgin Islands. He's owned it for many years. It's an amazing story because I think he bought it for like $50,000 or something back in the day. And obviously it's probably worth $100 million. I mean, it's an insane property. And hosted this retreat there with him. And I gave this talk talking about like the fact that there are these different types of wealth and building your life so that you have thought about that along the journey. And he came up to me at the end and just said that it had made him really think. He had been up at night thinking about it. And my reaction was like, you've kind of lived by this without knowing. Like you didn't have a name for it, but you've lived by it. Like the guy on his journey to building this thing that has made him billions and billions of dollars has managed to, at age 75, be in extraordinary shape. He's got his whole family there with him. His kids are super well adjusted, like really kind, loving souls. He works on stuff that he really cares about. He's got a lot of freedom. Like he has really done that. And the way that he did it was that he thought about it all the way. Like that was designed into his life, the entire journey. So it was never this whole game of like later. Most people, they say they're in the season of building. And so they're like, okay, well, I'm going to build and make a whole ton of money. And then I'm going to get freedom and purpose. And then I'm going to focus on my health. And then I'm going to be there for my kids more. And then I'm going to spend time on all that stuff. And the sad thing is that if you keep saying later about those things, later just becomes another word for never. Because most of that stuff is not going to exist later. Like your kids aren't going to be 5 years old later. You're not going to magically wake up with freedom later. It's not like you have to design it into your life. And so he did that. And now as a result, at 75, he very much looks like it.
So what questions should people be then asking themselves on a daily basis to not fall into any financial trap in the bad way or in the way of having too much money?
One question. What is the money for? It's a question that no one thinks to ask. You're like, I'm chasing money. I'm going and doing these things. Oh yeah, I want to be a billionaire. I want to do this thing. I want $30 million, whatever the number is. You never ask yourself, what is the money for? What is the life I'm actually trying to build?
It's easy to say, well, I get a nice house by the beach.
Graham, what's the money for?
Nicer house.
Why a nicer house?
It's something I want.
Why though?
More square footage.
But why?
More activities.
What activities are you going to do? You're going to sit in your studio and work?
No, I have a drum room.
So you're gonna have a bigger drum room?
Yeah.
Is that really why?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's great.
People stay over the house. I want a little guest house on there, a nice view.
And you
bigger
think
yard for Bailey.
And you think, oh, okay, that's a good one. Yeah. Future kids, all that stuff. Exactly. I get that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't do that right now?
It would be stressing it.
That's good. Yeah. But like that's that vision of saying like, I know what I want my day to look like. Like, what am I actually doing? I'm wake up in the morning. I want to like play some drums when I wake up in the morning. And that's like, I'm going to be able to create this drum room if I make more money. I'm going to be able to create this space where my kids are going to be able to like be outside and in the pool. My whole vision when I like went and wanted to start making money was that I wanted to be able to take my son in the pool at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like, that was what the money was for. I was like, that's what I want. And to me, like, I have that now. I can do that. That doesn't mean I'm going to just shut down my pursuit of like my ambitions and doing things, but I also have to be able to pause and appreciate that I created the life that I actually wanted, that I can do that.